My name is Alyssa Vaillancourt, and I'm Youth Project Manager at the International Secretariat for Water. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to this session. So Global Youth Take Action, Strengthening WASH through Community Mobilization. So for today's session, we have it's a 2-hour session which we've separated in different parts. Before we go through all these different sections, I would just like to start with a quick icebreaker. So before we get to more of the content, we want to know a little bit more about you. So first, sorry, my PowerPoint is kind of going faster than I am. So maybe in the chat, if you would just want to take a few minutes and write down in the chat, where are you from? So which country are you from? And in one word, what does WASH mean to you? So where are you from? And in one word, what does WASH mean to you? So we could start with where you're from. So which country are you from? So maybe we could start with that one. So which country are you from? So we have Julia, who's from the UK, Ghana, Sri Lanka, Canada, Nepal. So for those of you just joining us, so we're just having a quick icebreaker to get things started. So if you could write down in the chat where you're from, just so that we can get an idea of who's with us today. So Madagascar, Côte d'Ivoire, Germany, Peru, Madagascar, Côte d'Ivoire, Ghana, Madagascar. So we have a whole team from Madagascar who will be speaking to you as well today. So thank you for joining us from Ghana as well. Ghana. So thank you so much for joining us. We see that we have representatives from all over the world. So I think it's going to be a really interesting session to get kind of a world view of what does WASH look like in different parts of the world. So now we could go to the second question. So in what word, what does WASH mean to you? In one word, what does WASH mean to you? So WASH would be water, sanitation, and hygiene. But to you, what does WASH mean? So Amrita wrote down healthy life. SDG 6, Laurie writes down essential human right, basic need. These are all really great answers. Wellness from Perk, great point. So in one word, what does WASH mean to you? So Gloria writes down WASH means necessity. So we can see that even though we have people from all around the world, there is still kind of a common thread as these themes all incorporate, I think, an essential element of WASH, which is it's an essential human right, basic need. Everybody needs to have access to water, sanitation, and hygiene. So we have sustainability, health, livelihood, good health, equity, surviving, accessibility. So these are all amazing words. Thank you so much for participating. I think this is going to be a fun session. I think for the whole session, if you keep up this amazing participation, we want really this session to be like a discussion, a learning experience for everybody. We have some amazing speakers with us today, but we really want all participants to actively participate throughout this session. So if ever at any time you have questions, if you would like to speak, just write it down in the chat, and we'll be sure to get to your question. All right, so a little bit of background information on today's session. So today's session is based on a call for projects that we held on the Youth for Water and Climate platform a few months back. So what is the Youth for Water and Climate platform? So it is a platform that aims to connect youth-led initiatives with financial and technical resources. So a few months back when the pandemic hit, we held a call for projects entitled the Global Youth Take Action Call for Projects, which kind of was in a response to a lot of requests that we're getting from youth. We could see that even though the whole world was in a state of crisis, so many youth across the world were taking action, whether it was in their communities, in their villages, in their even like nationally in their own countries. And we really wanted to be able to give all the tools that these youth needed to really fulfill all of their goals and implement the amazing projects and ideas that they had in mind. So through this call for project, we kind of built like an amazing community. There was 9 projects that were selected. So some of them are here with us today. And I think that throughout the months, it was a really amazing, throughout the months of implementation, it was an amazing experience as well for people from the team from Ghana, from Madagascar, from Peru, from Indonesia, to really get to know each other, learn from each other, and kind of build upon the experiences that they were living. So if ever any of you are inspired following this session and have your own project, so this session is going to aim to kind of get you inspired and also give you your own tools to implement such initiatives. So if ever any of you have your own projects and really would like to take part, I would encourage you to follow the work that's being done on the Youth for Water and Climate platform, and kind of stay tuned for the next call for projects that will be announced soon. So on this note, I will not be talking so much today's session. I'm going to leave the space to all of our amazing panelists that are with me today. So I will let each one of them present themselves. So we have Floro. So Floro, I will let you present yourself if you want to take the floor.
Hello, everyone. My name is Floro. I am from Peru. I am part of the team of Pachapa for the Earth that Elisa said we prepare a project. So I don't know, I am really happy to know you, to work with you, and that's all, I guess.
Thank you so much, Flora. Amrita?
Thank you so much, Elisa, for the great am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for the great introduction. So my name is Amrita Gautam. I'm originally from Nepal, and right now studying and living in Germany since some years, and doing my doctoral research since around more than 3 years in the topic water supply and quality monitoring using emerging technologies. And this Stregthening initiative is actually a part of this ongoing doctoral research, where youth are the key actors as young water volunteers assigned officially in different water clubs. So they are given training tools to do different activities in the field. Yeah, that's how I have been trying to design and implement youth-led participatory sensing model, which is in progress. So I summarize this initiative in a line called Drink Pani is a research-based initiative which intends to bridge the gap between water utilities and communities in information flow on water supply and quality, with youth as key actors and ICTs as the main tool to navigate the path to reach policymakers for evidence-informed decision-making. So for me, I am very passionate about water since the time I started my engineering, and water actually acts as a first line of defense for any bacterial and viral contamination. Drinking water security is one of the biggest challenges we are facing in 21st century, and I'm interested in investigating the use of hydroinformatics in required solution in the sector to envision and to shape a digital water future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amrita. So next up would be Eric.
Elisa, Rick is not in the room, I guess.
Okay. So maybe I would leave the floor to Gloria.
Okay. Thank you very much, Elisa. Hello, everyone. I'm Gloria Jare from Ghana, and also from Ghana Youth Environmental Movement. And we undertook the project Chinsu in Treba last year, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. Perk?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Pai Fome. I'm from Ghana. I'm the National Coordinator for the Ghana Youth Environmental Movement. leading organization in Ghana, empowering young activists to tackle environmental issues. So we undertook the Chensu project, which we'll be speaking about today. I'm very glad to be here, and I'm hoping to have a great session.
Thank you, Perk. Next up would be Sophie.
Hi, my name is Sophie, and I work as a youth project assistant with the International Secretariat for Water.
And we will finish with Eric. I don't know if Eric, est-ce que tu es là? Est-ce que tu nous entends?
Je pense que Eric a vraiment un problème avec la connexion puisqu'il pleut du tonnerre chez lui apparemment.
Ah, okay. So Eric is having some trouble with the connection, but we have, as you could see before, we have a whole team from Madagascar. Would somebody else from the team from Madagascar would like to take the floor just to present yourself quickly?
Okay, hi everyone. It's Martina from Madagascar. Sorry, I can't turn on my camera because of my poor internet connection. So it's Martina from Madagascar. I think Eric is there. It's Martina from Madagascar from the youth association named TIHAD. We are really happy to be there and share our experience, the activity that implement with the Global Tech Action. So enjoy all the session, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martina. So before we get started with the discussion, I'm just going to share with you. So as you can see, we have amazing projects that have been implemented over the past month. And we thought it could be a really great opportunity for all of us to get inspired by some of the work that's been done, and maybe inspire you all to take action in the upcoming months, in the WASH field or in any other water or climate related field. So on that note, I'm going to share the greatly inspiring video that the Qianzu project produced, and then we'll be able to start the discussion afterwards. So enjoy.
Eva defunatre bapa leti nyagoma yebana jujumedo ami pona chikra lemba wo femi anu ye jichi janamia afimi akuta pochi anu ti akeno mi wa pe elawo gbo planyi kata no anu aba eno fudanami le dukama.
My name is Gloria Ejare, Programs Officer for Ghana Youth Environmental Movement. The name of this project is Chensu, which comes from the Akan language, and it means share water. The objective of this project basically is to provide clean water for everyone, people living in urban Accra who are from low-income communities.
To be good caretakers of this water kiosk.
The reason why we are undertaking this project in Treba is that Treba has been faced with water issues since it's been years. And we also realized during our research that Treba only has access to two sources of water, which is the stream water and then rainwater reserve. So we realized that young children walk over a kilometer just to get access to clean water. So we saw the need to have this project here in this community in Accra. In this project, we involved the chief, we involved the Treba Youth Association leader, and then we involved the assemblywoman, and we involved the youth in the community as well.
Chifanya ono fudana mila amewo katala Treba. Aba chifia kimi kuna chira the part do khana oku aba ku kare fima po aba chi khare fima fima no kuku agbo torama la pri eni pri agbo kata oba no chanu mi agbo to ha mi le chanu tamo na bi fampa le Treba no cho chifanya nti ta na ba gare mo kro ha mi ba yere council upon vivi cho chifanya nti aba kemi de mi le du kwamo no ta makwaba chinya hina mi kata kule le dukama msema unachi na unkandia chinuga de bi chinuga mchicho chinuga ochichoga anyanu ochichoga danu ochichoga nu akemi yola awo ngba kule lo kata ko le chire kaza ska ha do le very crowded ta faro vai ma bring us akra ba fia le chi nyi manuta akama opamanu va de kama gaba alio ta baru ga do crowd to sanvona mi akọ atwochi afi anonunu odo kra we mi aba no che dan afi anonunu owo mi o aba amilena nunu na chima o mami o kapa mgo afi pure water aba dogo fia ofuda abo ga mali wakono pure water ajem wakono echi enumo pure water eja kafra atami akama tan choga allo ko allo fuda na mi amoya la treba dukama ye chinya titri la dukama na mi fuda na impa
Wad ha gadura edemi adie vivina mi ba fifia chiva mi agbo afika mi va kuna chira didita fifia mi adodu na be chiva telemi anti yenya amne mo to ko mata to bucket ko ayila fiko ava ikuchi ko ava kole nye gazemo ko ad ko mo ludo joji aro agwo nya pomo do aku anyanya ha akuko akonyam adodu na mi pa ba mi pele mi anti ba nu yo kata ehia va mi agbo.
Donc, je connais Yehowa. Ba mi favia, asenya pa mi fafa. Ya o to mi aja mi ko chi ko vanami. Chenso Gia Ghana Environmental Youth Association to ogbo ko movement ko vanami ade jonami. Ta kwa wi fia mi akpojijo. Mi aza echi nwi to ya kwa nyanu ko danu anu hapo ha. Ta mi apa ga mi akoda kono pure water jama anu ajiji na mi ha. Going
forward with this project, we will be working with a 7-member water board, where we have 4 ladies on board with 3 men. They will be checking the day in and day out activity of the water kiosk and run it smoothly, and also maintain the structure and also expand with time. This is just to achieve or meet the SDG goal 6. Clean water and sanitation in low-income communities like Treba.
I hope you enjoyed the video and that you're all feeling quite inspired. I'd like to welcome as well Gideon, who's with us today, who is one of the founders of that project from the Ghana Youth Environmental Movement. So congratulations again to the whole team from Ghana, and thank you for being with us today. I think that what we've just saw really illustrates the importance of engaging all members of the community to ensure a successful WASH project, whether it be the youth, the leaders of the community. I think everybody in the community has an important role to play, and I think that video illustrates it really well. So on that note, we will start with our discussion with our panelists. So we're going to take it off from the question that we asked all of you in the chat. So what is WASH and why is it important? What is WASH and why is it important? To get us started, I would like to hand it off to Perk, since we just saw the project that you implemented in your community. So for you, what is WASH and why is it important?
Okay, thank you. So to me, WASH is about well-being and wellness. So there's a need to promote well-being or wellness in communities that were having challenges in living a dignified life. So that means access to clean drinking water, access to water to be able to engage in other domestic activities. So GEM thought in our search for a community to implement this project, we looked at slum shacks within the urban region, within the urban community that's in Accra. So we thought they were the appropriate target of people who were to receive or to enjoy or receive this project. But along the way, we had a striking revelation. That was, we came to realize that it wasn't, water accessibility wasn't a challenge in slum communities, because they were in the urban community, they were in the city, and water accessibility was an issue. So we realized if water accessibility isn't an issue, then there's a need to refocus or relook at community that has challenges accessing clean drinking water. So in our search, we decided to look further and consider peri-urban communities or communities in the outskirts of the city that were not having access to clean drinking water, or when they're connected to the national source of water. So in our search, we identified the Trevor community, which is located in the outskirts of Accra. And in our community survey, we realized that they were sharing water with livestock, and their source of water was a pond, which was not safe. So we realized this is a community that actually needs this project, and this project was going to be very beneficial to such a community, because it was going to address water issues, was going to address sanitation issues, and the hygiene of the community and the individuals in the community was going to be improved. So we focused on we focused on Trevor and began working with the community, with the youth, working with the local authorities to implement and to construct this water kiosk, which brought clean drinking water to the people in the community at an affordable rate. Because one of the challenges we also had was water accessibility from private vendors, was very expensive. The water was expensive to people living in this community from vendors, that's from water tankers, and also by the purchase of pure water, that's water sachets. So aside making water accessible to these people in the community, there's a need also to make it very affordable. So it was important for us to execute or implement this project in the community.
Thank you very much, Perkin. I think that one element you mentioned is so important, the fact that you guys were flexible with your project at the beginning, because you had in mind maybe one community, but after analyzing the actual needs and talking with the community and starting that discussion, you realized that maybe there would be another community that would be more applicable to your project, or that its needs corresponded more to the project that you wanted to implement. So I think that aspect of flexibility as well is so important, and I think that your experience kind of vouches for that. So I think that what you just mentioned in accessibility to safe drinking water is something that the community in which you worked with experiences, but I think if we move to the project in Madagascar, that is also an issue that was addressed in their project, is that access to safe drinking water. So maybe I would turn it over to Martina or Eric, if Eric is with us, to explain maybe what is WASH to you and why is it important?
WASH, as its meaning, it is the short of water, hygiene, and sanitation. And the water is one part really important in the term WASH. So it refers to the project we implement in Madagascar. WASH is really important because it is really important to facilitate the access to safe water drinking, specifically to improve the drinking water to the local communities. And so the project implemented in Madagascar was about that, by promoting traditional filter in order to help people to improve their water drinking by themselves. So that means WASH for us is really important because it helps to prevent the waterborne disease like diarrhea and other disease. So I think that's all. Maybe our colleague can add something.
Thank you very much, Martina. Maybe I will now turn it over to the project in Peru, because I think that the two components that we just discussed, so with the team in Ghana and Madagascar, that question of accessibility to safe drinking water was really at the core, one element that was at the core of the project. But I think WASH goes even above and beyond that accessibility to drinking water, and also includes a really important component regarding sanitation and hygiene. And so on that note, I would like to turn it over to Floro, which implemented a really interesting project in Peru regarding promoting safe practices regarding in relation to sanitation and hygiene in the context of a global pandemic. So maybe Flora, if you would like to take the floor.
Thank you, Elisa. Just here in Peru, we already know that WASH is really important, and everyone knows why it's important. But here in Peru, for example, one of the things we tried with our project is to use the traditional knowledge, the indigenous knowledge in the WASH. For example, always we say that all the scientific knowledge come from Europe, come from USA, come from the developed countries. But in our project here in Peru, we try to we collect all the traditional knowledge, indigenous knowledge, and to use in the WASH. Actually, we how to use the traditional knowledge in the problem we face right to nowadays. So now here in Peru, we are promoting a lot the use of the indigenous knowledge, because it's one of the things we forgot, and it's a knowledge. For example, he was discovered in the special environmental. I didn't know, for example, the Ancas, the traditional culture here in Peru. He was a really good good management of the water. Even until now, we have infrastructure to manage the water, for example, and until now he is still working. So I guess here in Peru, or in our project, we try to give the environment to recover the environmental knowledge to face the water problem right now. Thank you, Elisa.
Thank you, Flora. I think your project really brings up a key element regarding ancestral knowledge, and that's something that we don't talk about often enough. And I think that your project really shed the light on a really important topic on that point. So thank you for that. So Flora just spoke about kind of the importance of ancestral knowledge, and including that in the ways that we maybe think of or build our own projects related to WASH. But another really key actor, and that's kind of why we're here today. So there, of course, there's the indigenous communities, there's the leaders of the communities, there's the adults, or the people that have the people that have been studying this for years and years. All of those members of the communities are essential actors to implement a successful project. But another important actor that maybe we don't talk about enough is youth. And I think that today is one of our key objectives, is to really talk about the role of youth in implementing successful WASH initiatives. So the next question that we'll discuss is, what is the role of youth regarding the implementation of WASH initiatives? So maybe before I hand it over to our panelists, I would just hand it over to our participants So maybe if you want to write down while we discuss, if you want to write down in the chat, what do you believe is the role of youth regarding the implementation of WASH initiatives? So if you could write that down in the chat while we go over this question with some of our panelists, that would be greatly appreciated. So first, to start off the discussion, I would like to hand it over to Amrita, who's implementing a great project in Nepal, which aims to mobilize a certain number, well, a lot of youth. Maybe Amrita could give us more on the actual number of youth that she has managed to mobilize. But I think her project is a great initiative that really encapsulates the importance of the role of youth. So Amrita, I will leave it off to you.
Thank you so much, Elsa, for the introduction and moderating the session today. And thank you so much, Gideon, for presenting the initiative in Ghana as well. I'm always mesmerized, impressed the way you guys have been working so much with impact in Ghana. So talking about the project in Nepal, for me, I've been always so passionate about or curious about how do we understand more about the water around us and can bring the change by ourselves from our early age, not just like waiting for the university studies or like being in the position in leadership, like making policy or like getting opportunity in the kind of like having the tag of implementers. For me, that was curiosity since beginning, because the country that I belong, Nepal, we are one of the developing countries where we do not get the facilities of practical hands-on training. There was not so much of that kind of environment, but right now, like with the globalization, we are getting slowly there, like new initiatives are coming across. So for me, that's how I started with my master thesis, to understand more about the youth-led initiatives, or like the role of youth in different initiative water and climate actions. And exactly in my doctoral research right now, I wanted to deepen down the curiosity, the questions, and the objectives here, and that's where I made the main focus of a citizen science approach in my doctoral research with the target group youth, the students from schools and universities. So initially I made the target group from the age of 15 to 20, but later on I realized that I should be investigating more what are the differences where we involve school students till higher education, and then university students, like what are the advantages and disadvantages, or what different cross-cutting interaction we can have, and what different roles or like different approach or like model that we can facilitate for this involvement. So to my understanding, working in this research deeply since some years, uh, it is it is quite enriching with the experience how youth in the local area in Nepal where I'm doing the research, how motivated they are in the initial phase when they hear this kind of initiative, provide them platform to be interactive, to be vocal, to raise their voice, to have their participation for data collection, to understand the waterways issues, and to learn and support at the same time. But the challenge exactly comes when they understand this is not just for one time, but it's a longer process, and that's where we need to I am trying to investigate more. Why do we keep this kind of involvement and interest, not just for initial time in the initial phase? How do we make it for long run? How do we make it sustainable? What different factors can motivate them, and what different factors can demotivate them? That's where I'm investigating more at this phase, because it's been more than 2 years. Like I have been working with youth groups directly in the ground. Like it's been more than 3 years I have been understanding how to involve them, but like from since 2019 I have been like our drink pani clubs, that the water clubs was officially created, launched, assigned in the local areas, in pilot schools, in the community, in the coverage area of those water supply schemes that I have been taking. So for me, as Elisa asked me how many students are directly being involved or directly being coordinated in this initiative to have that answer. So initially, I took around 80 students like to have investigation in scientific approach, because this is a part of doctoral research. So at times I also get challenges to investigate different section in more scientific understanding, and it takes, but at the same time it's also an advantage for me to depend down the different factors of research. So when I started with 80 active students, and I started to know that it's not easy to make whole lot of 80 students active in the long run, and to also understand what different factors can be there, as I have been saying. So right now, around around 40 to 50 students are quite active in different occasions, and there are more students who are interested to be part of. So these are also factors, like at times when we see that these are the people who can actually work for a long run, but then we start to understand what different focus young people can have, and how do we select them, how do we screen them, and how do we make them involved in this kind of initiatives. For me, was when we talk about was, regardless of any subject we choose in our school and universities, it touches everyone's life. That's where we can really motivate our youth groups. And one of the great ideas, or one of the great insights that I have been realizing in my research, is that the sense of recognition for young people, to have their voice heard, to make them feel that they are also valued, they are the valued member of the society, and to make them feel that they can also become a change of agents of, they can become agents of change. So this is a sense of leadership that we can infuse inside them. And at the same time, then that's from that point we can also start seeing the great creativity or innovation from their side, when actually we provide them the platforms. This is how global youth tech action is also providing opportunity for the youth or a youth-led organization around the world. So that's how the innovation occurs in different phases. For an example, when we are given chance in international platforms, and we becoming the different agents of, or the wires for the connection, then if we can connect these dots in our local grounds, to motivate, to understand, to bring the creativity, to bring the innovation, and getting back to them in the implementation and the ripple effects, then that's how we can share our understanding, that's how we can share our solution strategies, methods in different case studies, and that's how we can become more successful in implementing different methods. Because at times one kind of problems might require another kind of methods, and we are maybe suffering, or that might be a challenge. And when we share our different initiatives, the different methods that we've been applying in different case studies, then that's where we get more closer to the sustainable approaches of the solutions. And for me, I'm really glad to share my experiences, like in any platform I go. So considering the time limit, I would like to stop myself here now, but I will be expressing more of other experiences in other opportunities. And feel free to ask me any question, and we can talk more in other times, and maybe in email or maybe in chat as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Amrita. I totally agree with you that I think that involving youth in WASH projects is so crucial. And I think that, as Gideon mentioned in his comment in the chat, youth are such a big part of the society, and that they really represent a key stakeholder in today's society that must be included in the discussions, that must be given a platform to speak and to really represent the needs of their generation, and the views and visions of their generation that are so key in today's discussions. So on that note, I'll bring it over to the next question for today's discussion regarding the key components to implement a successful WASH initiative. So I think, as Amrita just mentioned, involving youth in the discussions and giving the youth the space to be a leader of such initiatives is so important, is definitely one of the keys to implement a successful initiative, but there are so many more. So we have the chance to be speaking with inspiring young leaders that have implemented successful initiatives. So I would like to ask them, what has been the most important part that has allowed you to implement your successful initiative. So maybe I would turn it over to Gloria to start us off. So in your project, in the Chanzu project, what has been that key component that has allowed the project to be a success?
Okay, thank you very much, Elisa, for this opportunity. Well, in the Chanzu project, one of the key things that has contributed to the success of our project is engagement of stakeholders and then community-based engagement as well. So in our project, one of the things I even learned on the project is that we brought everyone, both the direct and indirect stakeholders on board. Even when we identified the problem in the community, we went down there to undertake a survey, a preliminary survey, to really understand if that was a pressing issue to the people, and then how they wanted the project to be, how they wanted the water kiosk to be, in which way would they favor them. So engaging them in this entire procedure, we were able to buy in the community. We're able to engage them entirely in all areas. So it's like currently they own the project. They feel like this is our project. This is our water kiosk. This is here to help us. So we are going to protect it. And I think that this in the long term will contribute to sustainability, because now people will not just leave the project or the water kiosk to be there when there's something wrong, because they know that we sought for their opinion in constructing, in everything. We went to see the assembly member, the chief, landowners, we engage women and all of that. So I think that it's very important that in implementing a project, especially WASH initiative, we include everyone, every key stakeholder, and most importantly, the youth as well. We should get everyone on board so that they own the project and then they protect it. They put in right measures to ensure that it's running smoothly, even after we have left the community. We as an organization have left the community, yeah.
Thank you, Gloria. I think involving key stakeholders, opening a discussion with the community in which you're working with, and really being open to that feedback and just creating that sense of ownership from the community. I think those are such important, crucial elements that I couldn't emphasize enough. I really hope that if all of you that are here with us today, if you had one key message to take from today's session, is really what Gloria just mentioned, involving key stakeholders, sense of ownership. I think those are such important elements. Another project that really managed to do this really well was the project in Madagascar that really empowered youth to become the voice of their project and really become themselves their own leaders and really develop that sense of ownership from the youth in the community towards their project that they implemented. So I would maybe leave it off to Martina to maybe explain to us a little bit. I don't want to guide your answer too much. I just wanted to try and make a link with what Gloria just mentioned. But I'll let you explain to us. So for you, what was one of the key components of success of your project?
Thank you, Elisa. So I will have some similar answers as Gloria, because I think the most important things during Project WASH implementation is the stakeholders engagement and the ownership. And for us, especially the beneficiaries involvement and engagement. So for us, that was the youth in a little community. So even if after during all the project, the whole project, they were involved in the project implementation, as for example the sensitization of all the community, or because the project was focused on the traditional filter promotion. So even on the setting up, on the construction of the prototype of filter, they was involved in the entire project. And even after we leave the project, at the end of project, the youth continue to promote the traditional filter. And recently we talk with the youth, and they was called by some organization or some schools to teach in the school how to make the traditional filter. So at the same time, we are proud and also happy because at the same time we sensitize the youth on the question of water, of sanitation, of how it is really important to access to potable water, but also there is a simple way to improve the water quality. And I think that the stakeholder and especially beneficiary involvement and engagement and ownership is one of the most important key to WASH project implementation.
Thank you, Martina. I think that also connects with other important elements that are all related to stakeholder engagement and developing this sense of ownership, as Gideon just put in the chat. Those are key elements to sustainability, which is also a key element to a successful project. Is that project going to be sustainable? And I would also relate it to gender issues. So by, I think, that component of gender, ensuring that the voices of women and young girls are heard in projects, I think those are important, a really important, successful, a key component for a successful initiative that also relates to stakeholder engagement. So on that note, I wish we had a little bit more time, but we'll be able to continue the discussion. So maybe Flora, if you wanted to take did you want to take the floor maybe to finish off our discussion, to maybe answer this question quickly? So for your project, what was the key elements of success?
No, I just wanted to say something. What the young people can do right now, it's maybe one of the things we can do, or we can, how we can implement successful WASH initiatives could be use the technology. We can know that the young people, we use more the technology more fastly. More easily. So one of the things we have realized here in Peru, for example, if we wanna implement a WASH project, we don't have a database. We don't have a good database who we can use to take decision, or political decision. So I guess that the young people can help a lot in the collect the database using the technology. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Flora, for adding that. It's a really key point. Thank you for mentioning that. So I think we'll take all these amazing ideas and reflections onto the next part of our session today. So we really want to get you involved in thinking of a concrete solution for a case study that we've prepared to use. So with all that we've just mentioned, with all the tools and with all the inspiration that you have just gotten from various projects that have been implemented, we really want to give you the opportunity to discuss among yourselves and try and build a solution for a case study that we've created. So just maybe as a disclaimer, this is a fake case study. It's not a real situation, but it is inspired by so many communities that are living similar situations. So on that note, I would leave it over to Sophie, who will explain to us a little bit more what we'll be doing with this case study.
All right, so I will just explain briefly the case study, but you will be able to see it also in your breakout room later. So the context of the case study is what many small villages can experience due to lack of water availability. So there is a main river that is the main source of fresh water for all the villages along it. They use it for their domestic need and agricultural needs as well. However, during the last few years, the communities along the way have noticed that the water flow of the river is unpredictable and has decreased a lot. The droughts are longer than usual, and the precipitation are unpredictable, which leads to unpredictability in the water flow of the river as well. So all of these factors are impacting the habits of the populations, since they cannot predict or fill their need because they don't really know if they're gonna have enough water. Also, during the dry season, the river is now totally dry for more months than usual, leaving the population without their main source of fresh water for longer. So what is the problem in this context? So the decrease in the water availability has many negative impacts on the population living along the river. First of all, when the river is dry, the population needs to find another source of fresh water, and usually they need to walk a long amount of time to have fresh water. Often it's women or children that has to do that, which leave them less time to their other activity, like school, homework, or work for the woman. Also, the difficult access to water creates water scarcity in the villages, since they don't have enough water to meet their needs. That leads to lack of good hygiene habits and lack of proper sanitation facility. Also, the water from the alternative sources is not always good to drink, which leads to waterborne illnesses within the community, which leads to other health problems. Every year, it's more and more difficult to predict the water availability and precipitation. The lack of water has a terrible effect on the crops and leads to food insecurity due to the dry soils, which leads to bad food production. So that is the kind of problem that we can see all over the world. So in this problem, there's many problems in it. And now we're gonna put you in breakout rooms so you can find solution for this problem. So maybe some of you will find a solution that respond to a part of the problem. That's fine as well, since it's really hard to solve that big of a problem with only one solution. You only have 3 limitations. Well, one is a good one. You have good internet connection to solve the problem. You have a budget of $5,000 US, and you have a 6 months timeline to do your project. So during the first step, we're gonna try to identify the problem, the stakeholder, and to co-create a sustainable solution with the stakeholder. So for the first breakout room, you're gonna have 20 minutes to solve the first part of the problem.
Right, so that went by too fast, as it always does. I feel like we're having interesting discussion. I see that everybody was really active on the Miro board, so I think that we have some really interesting things that have come up regarding stakeholders, regarding identification of the problem, and maybe some of you had the chance to quickly start the discussion about identifying our solution. I know our group was just starting that discussion, so if you haven't had time, we'll be able to take that over to the next breakout room. There's no problem, we have ample time. So maybe we'll just ask one person from each group to just tell us very, very quickly. So in about 30 seconds, maybe some of the regarding the identification of problem and stakeholders. So maybe a quick wrap up on your discussion during this first breakout room. So very quick wrap up. So maybe I would ask Gloria for your team, if you would like to go ahead.
Okay, yes, Christabel is here to share with everyone what we had from participants. Yeah.
Okay, good evening, everyone. We identified climate change and water distribution as a possible problem. For the stakeholders, we identified the community members, the community leaders. For the solution, we identified creating a borehole if experts say the problem is not related to water distribution, we can find groundwater or a water kiosk. Then, Gloria, what was the third question?
No, I think you're good. It was mostly for now the problem and stakeholders. So I think you answered that perfectly. We'll get to the solution afterwards when we come back from the second breakout room. So maybe I would leave it off to Floro's team.
Yeah, Martina, do you have the?
Yes. Okay, so for the solution for us, first of all, we choose an environmental solution. For example, like reforestation, it will help to restore the water source. We have also a scientific solution, such as collecting more data to help us to choose the better decision for decision making. And also more technical solutions such as the setting up of community water storage to collect at the same time, especially rain, for rain collection. Also more social solutions such as awareness raising about the climate change and also the importance of purifying water. And also more technical, but at the same time that complements the community water storage, digging well and the plumbing, setting of plumbing machinery to suck out the water and develop a distribution network to the villagers.
Amazing.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martina. I see that you guys were very, very productive in your working group. You worked fast. You already came up with a bunch of different solutions. So maybe for the group that I was in, I would ask maybe Amrita.
Thank you, Aliza. Yeah, now I recall, I could see that the other group was quite interactive with collecting up to solution. We didn't get time up to like a rapid solution, but to have a very quick summary for the for identification of the problems, we thought that it is important to understand the sources of water and all sources of pollution, so that we can interact both in terms of quantity and quality. And and for the stakeholders identification, we thought that it's really important to know the government institution and the local people who are the end users, co-users, like sharing water, and at the same time the local youth groups are locally available, women, and then universities, schools, and the researchers, and women, girls, and other funding agencies. So in that way, we thought of they are the important stakeholders. And in the solution, we just started to talk about like rainwater harvesting and one of the like optional method to support the water scarcity, and for the local indigenous method of treatment of water, so that the given budget could be sufficient, because for the large treatment plants cannot be affordable with the limited budget. So that's where we were discussing, and then we came out. So thank you. So we will cope with the solution more in another round. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amrita. So for now, we're going to go back into our breakout room. So for the second step of what we'll be working on now in the breakout rooms is more towards the implementation. So we've had a bunch of interesting ideas that have been shared already regarding potential solutions, but now we need to think, how are we going to implement this? It needs to be realistic within our time frame, within our budget, while achieving the objectives related to the problem that we identified. So the next step will be defining the core activities regarding the budget. So identifying what are we going to use the budget on, and also an implementation plan. So where it's going to be our first step, and then where are going to be our next steps in the implementation plan. And I would like to just say a quick note regarding sustainability. So as you go through this discussion and as you go through this brainstorm, please keep in mind that the best solutions are the most sustainable solutions. So as you discuss your implementation plan, really think about how can we make sure that as we implement this project, it's going to be sustainable afterwards. So on that note, I will let you all go back into your breakout rooms. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had interesting and engaging conversations in your breakout room. So we have a few minutes now to kind of discuss together the solutions that you came up with in your breakout rooms. Maybe if you want to share with us a little bit of the main activities of your implementation plan and maybe the main budget categories that you've identified as most important for your solution. And then I would invite people from the other breakout rooms as you present your solution that you discuss in your own breakout room. If the other participants have questions regarding the solutions that's presented, or if you think that there's something that hasn't been thought of, or if there's some elements that you would like to learn more about what discussed in other breakout rooms, just feel free to put it in the chat and we'll make sure to get to them.
Lisa, maybe this time I will share my screen so we can see the Miro board with everyone's posted, so it's easier to follow.
Yeah, great idea. Thank you, Sophie. So maybe I would leave it off to Gloria's team to start.
Okay, Zeguni, are you here with us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, so we can hear you.
Okay, we have for the implementation plan, we managed for 6 months, but it's just approximation because 6 months sometimes it's not enough, but we just for this approximation. Firstly, we have the preliminary service collection of data. This is the first step for us to collect the data. And after we collect the data, we go to the mapping of the source of distribution and the source of water, was it there. And the third one is the focus groups. We have the focus groups to discuss with the rural communities to know the solution from them and to connect with our solution and the local solution. And the third setup is to identify the materials that used by this community, this rural community, to know which materials to implement without import from outside. It's important to use because it's for maintenance and for sustainable implementation for a long time. And we have this one to create a logistic for the survey and these materials and the different step of that. And about the budget, we implement 10% of this budget. It's for the logistic. It's important for the logistic. And we have some like, not a gift, but to the engagement of the leader of the communities. Sometimes with the rural communities or that, they have this gift of the budget. They want to be more consideration to give him this role. We give him 5% of the budget. And for the materials and the difference to build these solutions or these approximation solutions, we get 60%. And finally, we have between 10 and 20% of this budget. It's for the training, because to give the training about the new knowledge, to maintain this construction, this building, for give the information about the climate change for the rural community. It means in the time there is knowledge in the time. It can be 1 year, 2 years, or 2 years, depending about the evolution of this solution, because we want to involve this solution like in the time, not just the static solution. No, it will be involved with the time. Thank you so much.
Okay, just to add to what Zegini said, so what the solution we are trying to create here is to provide an alternative source of water for the community, and also plant trees across or along the water source that they have already. So we are trying to conserve the old one, and then also provide an alternative one, which is the construction of a borehole for them in the community. And we want to also use 20% of the budget to provide sensitization and also training, so that they would understand the need for sustaining the project in the long term themselves. They understand how to also use the resource especially with the borehole, to have water running through and across the years, yeah, for the next generations as well. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for all your work for that breakout room. I think that's a really interesting solution. Is there anybody within the other that was in the other breakout rooms that would have questions regarding that solution? We would maybe have time for like one question, if anyone had any questions. No questions. All right. So if ever you do have any questions, you can write them in the chat and we'll get to them. I think I just want to say one note. I really love the engagement with traditional leaders, like that 5% of the budget for that point. I think that's really innovative. That's not something that we see enough of. And so congratulations for adding that in your budget. As well, like the education and capacity building of the community to ensure sustainability, really key component as well. So congratulations on the great work. So for
thank you.
So for the team number 2, I would leave it off to so let's see who. I don't know, Dion, would you like to present?
No.
No? Okay, maybe I'll leave it up to Amrita then.
Okay, thank you. Actually, yeah, again, it's yeah, I'm a bit sad that we could not complete the whole budgeting part, but like nevertheless we learned a lot, and I'm so glad about having this session today. It's not only for this session, but like personally I'm taking back home a lot of learning and excitement, so I hope the same for all of you. So for this budgeting and implementation part, we try to break down the different components where we can invest the available amount of the support, like the in the monetary value, and at the same time different resources, and how do we implement all those different components in its place. So for us, we identified that program management is really key for every action locally to globally. So we thought that 15% should be it should be about 15%, and tools and training regarding the for example, if we want to take forward the rainwater harvesting system and the treatment of the local water bodies with local indigenous knowledge, then the tools and training that we need, it can be about 25%, and communication, community outreach, the awareness campaign, all these things for media outreach, it can go for the 10%. And we were talking about monitoring and evaluation of the project, so it can go around maybe 10% again, 10 to 15%, I think. So, and for the rest of the amount, we can make for the proper recording, accounting, and other miscellaneous thing that we can cover up as a whole. And I also like the 5% of another group, like if I'm not wrong, it was the utilizing the local experts, or like driving the local experts. So yeah, I think that was one good part that we can also learn, or we can get reminded. So that's how we divided the budget. And for the implementation part, Elisa, can you make a bit bigger?
It's actually Sophie that's sharing her screen. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so we talked about mobilization of stakeholders. It's a very important, so it should be in first place, like how do we mobilize them, and how do we identify which stakeholders can take lead role and who can support, and how do we actually share our stories, tell our strategies to storytelling, and making good approach of different media available, for example radio talk and other media campaigns and social media as well. And education is very important part here. How do we make awareness, like community capacity building, capacity development kind of important aspect, and getting them involved from the understanding the perspective to the solution process. Here the importance of implementation. So as we already heard from our different initiatives, that it's really important to involve all different stakeholders with the proper ownership recognition, so that it can be sustainable. So it is really important to identify all different stakeholders in the implementation process as well, like from the ideation phase, and to make them involved in this community outreach program, and contacting the technicians to collaborate so that we can actually design the training and implement this training. And not only implementation here, as we have been talking about the monitoring and evaluation, it's also important the follow-up training and for the maintenance and monitoring part at the same time, and systematic representation of stakeholders and that we have been also talking the same in education part. So it's a common thing we can do together, and also it is quite important when we talk about different actions, different components to use for any solution, to bring it to any problem, to have its solution. Then proper data management is one of the key aspect, because at times we do our work, at times we tend to make it successful, but when we cannot make it a good data management system, then we fail to make example for the replication. At the same time, we cannot have sustainable approach for the long run. So that's also one important point. So if I forget something, maybe Aliza and other people can add on.
No, I think that's great. I think you really brought up the important elements that we discussed. So maybe we'll go on to team number 3. So that was Flora's group.
Okay, for the breakout room 3, finally, considering the budget and the time, finally we choose to implement the soft activities in the first part, and then start to implement more technical activity. So during the 6 months, during the first to the 5 months, we are going to organize workshop and consultation, because we really give priority to participatory method or approaches to finally find the best solution to implement in the village. So our first activity will be work education and capacity building on climate change, on the WASH in the general way, and also on more technical aspect of WASH. And we will use 30% of the budget to implement these activities. And for the second activities, it will be also a consultation and the workshop with all stakeholders that we identified before. There will be the youth association in the local area, but also to start to discuss with the local authority. And then we are going to do a next workshop with the local authorities. And with all of that, we will organize a workshop also to make this consultation and try to draw all types of scenario for solution that will be proposed by the different stakeholders. And we will choose the right solution that fit more to the context in the local community. We prioritize the workshop and consultation because we noticed that there is a lack of database for environmental data, but also for social and economic data. And we will use also 30% for the both activities I mentioned before. And the last activity, it will be to start to implement the best solution that will be chosen with all stakeholders. We will use 10% of the budget to implement that activities, and maybe we will. It is not during the 6 months that the solution will be implemented, but we will start to do it and also support the community to find and mobilize and raise funding to fund the solution that will be chosen by the participatory approach. I think that's all. If I forget something, I invite my colleague to add.
No, I guess so. Just I would like to add something. In our idea, for example, we didn't know what is the problem, what is the cause of the problem. We know that's a problem, but we didn't know what is the cause. So if you want to solve the problem, we have to know what is the reason. But we know for us what is the reason, is better to ask the community. So we are planning to implement a workshop, and the objective of this workshop is to identify what is the problem, what is the cause, and what could be the possible solution from the same community. And so that's our plan. That's all.
That sounds like a great plan. So thank you, Floro, and all of your team for sharing. So we're already over our time for today's session. So as closing remarks, I would just want to thank all of our panelists here today, as well as all of our participants for participating in the second part, actively brainstorming on this case study. Hopefully it'll give you some tools that you can take back in your own communities when you want to implement a project, and maybe these can be things that you can think about when you build your project, whether it be regarding sustainability, stakeholder engagement, budgeting, implementation plan, identification of stakeholders in the problem. I think these are all key aspects that can really relate with all kinds of WASH initiatives or climate related initiatives that you would like to implement. So on that note, I hope you are all inspired and ready to take action in your own communities. I would invite you all to stay aware and to keep your eyes open for the next call for projects that's going to be taking place on the Youth for Water and Climate Action platform. There is not yet a date that has been set, but hopefully it will be in the upcoming weeks. So please keep an eye out for that. We really look forward to working with you, supporting you, exchanging with you, and learning from you. So thank you to everyone who participated today, and I look forward to further collaboration with all of you.